Hello everyone, what I want to do in this video is very briefly talk about callable bonds. This is a very easy topic, but it's one of the stranger topics that we'll talk about in the sense that the assumptions here are just completely devoid of reality. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. Um, Okay, so a callable bond is a bond with a variable maturity date. And that when I say variable, it's usually subject to constraints. So in real life, what will happen is you'll purchase a callable bond, and the issuer um, will determine the date of maturity. And there's a lot of different things that go into when the issuer determines maturity, but for whatever reason, the issuer might say, okay, I'm going to sell you this callable bond with maturity anywhere between 20 and 50 6-month periods after you purchase it. So, the issuer in real life can any time between 20 and 56-month periods say, hey, I want maturity to be whenever. Um, Again, there's a myriad of reasons why a issuer would pick a certain date, but the point is the issuer would, in real life, determine the maturity date that benefits the issuer most, right? In the exam FF world, uh, investors get to choose the maturity date subject to constraints, and investors choose this to minimize price. Again, um, this is not how callable bonds work. This actually has a name in real life. It's called a put bond, PUT. Callable bond is a bond with a variable maturity date where the issuer determines maturity. A put bond is a bond with variable maturity where the investor chooses a maturity date. Again, it's not the way it works on exam. Right. All right, so yeah, all you really need to know, and you can probably prove this mathematically pretty easily. I would think just take derivative with respect to n in your formulas and um show that basically show the following, that the derivative is um negative. Sorry, the derivative is positive. Right? And well, anyway, the fact is, if the bond is bought at a premium, then early maturity dates correspond to smaller prices, and later maturity dates correspond to larger prices. So, yeah, if a bond is bought at a premium, then the price function with respect to time is increased. If the bond is bought at a discount, then the price function as a function of date is going to be decreasing. So later maturity dates correspond to smaller prices, and earlier maturity dates correspond to larger prices. Yeah, you probably prove that the derivative is negative with respect to prices. The derivative of price with respect to date, n. I haven't tried it, but it's pretty easy. All right, now this is a bit confusing, but it is what it is. So a lot of these problems will say calculate the maximum price, blah, blah, blah. What that means is you're calculating the lowest possible price. And why the hell are you calculating the lowest price if they say calculate the maximum price? Well, the low if you're an investor and you can choose, what call date, what maturity date the bond is, then you don't always have to want to pick it to get the lowest price. There might be reasons why you want to pick a different maturity date, But at least for exam FM purposes, you always want the lowest price and you never want to pay more than the lowest price possible. So the lowest price possible is, in some sense, the most you should pay for the bond. Why would you pay anything more? Again, that really doesn't make sense in real life. Maybe you need, um, maturity as late as possible for whatever reason. But again, Exam FM is going to assume you never pay more, and you never want to pay more than the lowest possible price bond. Pick the maturity date to minimize the price. That's the most you should have paid. All right, easy example, 10-year, 1,000 par value bond, 10% nominal semi-annual coupon rate. Should put right here. Callable on any date after the first 6. Right? So implicit here is that, of course, you can't, maybe it's not implicit, but I guess I should mention you cannot call a bond after it's matured. That doesn't make sense. So so here we're dealing with 6-month periods. So 12 to 26-month periods are the constraints for when the bond can be called, when maturity can be called. The yield rate is 8%. Calculate the price of the bond and calculate the price if it was not called. Okay. So one paint. All right, so yeah, all we need to do is see if the bond is bought at a discount or premium, and that is extremely easy to do. So yeah, really not much here to do. So my actual 6-month coupon rate is 5%, 0.05. We said yield rate is 8%, nominal semi-annual. So this is 4%. All right, so R is bigger than J, so the bond is bought at a premium. All right, so because because the bond is bought at a premium, remember what we have to do. If the bond is bought at a premium, then earlier maturity dates correspond to smaller prices. So that means, well, it's between 6 years and 10 years, so it picks 6 years, right? All right, so so that means pick 12 6-month periods. So when I say n equals 12 price, I mean the price where maturity is after 12 6-month periods. This is easy, just plop everything into the calculator. Yeah, par, so it's par value. And also I'm not giving you redemption, so you assume redemption is 1,000. Because otherwise you really can't do this. Right. So so let's just get the coupons first and then we'll enter stuff in the calculator. So coupons is 1,000.0 remember it's 5%, 0.10 over 2. All right, so let's start popping stuff in. Well, and the payments, I have my beautiful mug taken away from you for a little while. I hope you're upset by that. It's a joke. Um, anyway, yeah, the yield rate is 4%, so pop 4%. 1,000 is redemption, same as face value, or same as par value. We're not given a redemption, so you have to assume that. All right, so it's 1093.80. Right, so is the actual price of my callable bond. Again, we're picking the date that minimizes. All right, now if it was not callable, so you can just re-enter different ends and get the correct answer. But when you do present value and future value and start re-entering stuff, weird things happen. So I'm not going to do that. I'll just re-enter, re-enter everything. Not callable. Again, that just means n equals, right? So if n is 20, now everything here is fine except n is 20. So 20, and the yield rate was 7, was it? 8/2 is 4%. Again, same coupon payments of 50, same redemption. Value 1135. So yeah, about $42 difference. But J four. And yeah, that's it. I think sometimes these problems are worded in a way that's confusing, but really, it's not a whole lot to these problems. It really is not a lot to these problems. All right, so let's do some sample exam FM. All right, so you have a 20-year non-callable bond, pays coupons annually and has face value of 2,000. Bond was bought at a price of 2,300 and has effective yield rate of 7%. 20-year callable bond, same coupon rate, same face value, callable for 2,000 at the end of 18 or 19 years. You only have two choices. Calculate the maximum price of a callable bond that guarantees a yield at 7%. So when you say at least, you just the yield is 7%, right? Ignore at least. And again, this is like they're wording this very stupidly. It's really saying what's the maximum price you should pay for this in the sense that you want the lowest price, so you should never pay more than the lowest possible price. All right, so the only thing here is you don't know if the bond is bought at a discount or a premium because you don't know what the coupon rate is. So there's no redemption stated other than the face amount. So we assume it's 2,000. I'll do two more examples, one after this that literally takes a couple seconds to do. It's almost like a trick question. Um, but yeah, and the last one I'll do where the redemption is not the face value. So you have to go back to that formula we had for figuring out, in that case, you have a premium or a discount. Okay, so yeah, first thing we got to do is figure out the coupon rate, and that is pretty easy. Think about it, because let's just plop in everything into our calculator and then compute the payments, and then 2000 R equals payments. I'll write everything down. So. Okay, uh, annual coupons. So 20 and 7 interest, 2300. Remember, we gotta make this negative. Is the price 2000, value, compute payment 168 30. So here. All right, so base value is 2000. So 2000 R is my payments, 168 32. So just divide by 2000. My annual coupon rate is 0.084, and that is bigger than 7% for my yield rate. That this is annoying. Right. 7, and it's by given yield rate. All right, so yeah, so again, the bond is bought at a premium. Okay. So we're really only given two choices, 18 and 19, but bond is bought at a premium. You go with the lowest maturity date. That'll give you um uh yeah. Yeah, if the bond is bought at a premium, sorry, you pick the lowest maturity date, that'll give you the lowest price. Right. Yeah, let's just do that. Right. And yeah, I mean, let's store this and re-enter stuff. So actually, I mean, in some sense, you don't even care about what the coupon rate is for this calculation, because you know what the payments are, exactly this. Um, so yeah, but again, you do need to know what the coupon rate is to figure out if it's bought at a premium or discount, and that'll tell you if it's 18 or 19. All right, so yeah, we know it's 18, so 20 N, 7 interest, 2000 value, compute price. Did I put 20 N? Of course I did. Cents, so 18 and 7 interest. This is my payments computed. Um, So yeah, to be clear, if it has the same, maybe it's a little confusing, but if it has the same redemption, um, so if it has the same face value, and this is saying it has the same face value, 2000, 2000, and it has the same coupon rate, then it has the same coupons. Again, I'm just getting a little unclear here. 2000 value, compute value, 2284, so this is C. And let's just double check. I got the solutions. Solutions right here. Uh, add the solution here. Uh, yeah, okay. So, had them a second ago. Second. Oh, okay. Well, it's I had the solutions up before. You can check that as well. All right, so two more problems. This next one is kind of a fun problem because you actually don't have to calculate a single thing. So a non-callable N-year 5,000 face value bond has a price of 43.61, coupon rate 5%, yield rate of 6%. So the bond is bought at a discount. So remember that means the larger the maturity date, the lower the price. Another N-year face value 5,000 annual coupon bond, same rate. Is callable at the end of any year from N minus 10 to N years. So yeah, 10-year window, call it, calculate the maximum price at the event that the investor should be willing to pay for the callable bond to get a 6% yield. So ignore at least. You want a 6% yield. Okay, so the thing here is you have the same yield rate, same coupon rate for these two callable and non-callable. So for the callable rather, again, it's bought at a discount. So that means the larger the N, the lower the price. So that means the most N you could have, or the larger the maturity, the lower the price. So the largest maturity possible is N years. But they're giving you the price for N years. It's just 43.61. So when I say non-callable, that just means it matures at N, that's your price. It's present value of everything you're given. That's the same thing as the price of the callable bond if it's called at N. That just means maturity is N. So the answer is D. It's the same thing, 43 60. So yeah, really don't have to do anything. All right. Last but not least, this one's kind of a pain to do, but it's not that bad. Okay, so you have basically the following situation, bunch of information on a uh bond, 1,000 par value, so that's the base value. 30-year bond, annual coupon rate paid semi-annually. Remember that means so they're taken directly from the SOA example FM sample exam FM website. If it has paid semi-annually, that means it's nominal semi-annual. It's annoying, confusing, but you remember that. Okay, so after a 10-year period of call protection, meaning it's not going to be called from 0 to 10, the bond is callable following the payments of any of 20 through 59. It is giving you a bunch of situations. If it's called before the payment of the 40th coupon, the redemption value is 12.50, so it's different than the face value. It's called immediately after the payment of the 40th through 59th coupon, the redemption value is 11.25. If the bond is not called, meaning it just matures after 60 coupons, 66-month coupons, it'll be redeemed at par. So basically, you want a 5% yield rate, calculate when maturity is. And again, here, be clear, we're in exam FM land that's different from reality. You can pick any of these three situations. You want to pick situation that gives you the lowest price. It's basically all there is to this problem. So you have to do three different calculations. It is what it is. Points. Okay, so I just want to remind you, um, right. So remember G, sometimes people call this a modified coupon rate. G is FR over C. So we need to figure out for these situations if G is bigger than the yield rate, equal, or less than the yield rate. So bigger will tell me if it's premium, um, equals par, less than right. So let's ding. Yeah, so let's look at these three situations. Start computing and see what's what. And each of these three situations, we're going to compute the price. Make this a lot bigger. It's going to make my life a lot easier. Should get that before, but way. All right, yeah. So there's no way to really do this without just calculating and see what the prices are. Again, you pick the smallest price. Okay, so C redemption value is 1250. Uh my yeah, for each of these coupon rate is 0.07 over 2.035. Yield rates. Actually, let me do this. Because this is common throughout the problem. That my coupon rate is 0.035. My yield rate is 0.05% nominal semi-annual. So and my face value, par value rather, is 1,000. Okay, so for one redemption, let me count that this works. Okay, so redemption is 1250. So G is, remember, F um, R over C. And what? Plop it into the calculator and out. And that's going to be 0.028. And that is bigger than my yield rate. That's 0.025. So the bond is bought at a premium. So yeah, so bonds bought at premium. The lowest date possible gives you the lowest price. Lower the maturity date, the lower the price. So right, so that means n equals 20. You can't go any lower than 26-month periods because it's a 10-year call protection. Putting in, I guess it's protecting the issuer. Right. So go according to this, min price, and n equals So rather than write anything, let's just plop into the calc. Right. All right, so 26-month periods, yield rate of 2.5, 1,000 times 0.035. Could store this. I'll just remember it's like 1,000 times 0.035 is 35. And 50 my redemption. So this is 1308.45. So yeah, remember we just got to figure out what's the lowest price, and that is that. What the way to do it, really. All right, so two. Um, the redemption is 11.25, so it's gonna be the same thing, except plop in C is 11.25. So my modified coupon rate is F 1,000 R.5 over 11.5. And this is point 0.03. Yeah, so again, this is gives me a premium situation. So yeah, we're at a premium. So again, we have to go to the smallest possible redemption. That'll give me the smallest possible redemption rate, redemption date will give me the smallest possible price. Well, what's that? That's going to be 40 because 40 through 59. So we got to figure out the price at any 40. That'll be nice and quick and easy. Uh, so yeah, 40N. Yeah, same yield rates, 2.5, 5% over 2. Um, Same thing as before, 1,000 times 0.05, same coupon rate, um, same par value. Redemption's 11.25. There's 12.97. I always like the dollar sign. Why? But do. Uh, Everything is to the nearest one. It's don't really need decimals. Okay, 3 is simply n equals 40. And there, um, yeah, redeem that par, so face value is par value. 40 n 2.5 interest Payments, 35 payments, 1,000 redemption, value, uh, happens, so, yeah, so, my bad, if, bond is not called, remember that means it's basically it goes all the way to the full maturity, 60. It's not 40, it's 60. I put 40, sorry about that. 2.5 yield rates, 1,000 times 0.035 payment. Par value of 1,000 is redemption also. Value. Yeah, 1309. They're all pretty darn close to each other. I guess that's the point, because you really can't screw up, otherwise, even if it's off by like, these situations are off by like about 50 cents. Still, 50 cents can't buy a whole hell of a lot with 50 cents. Still, you want the lowest price, so well, I guess it doesn't matter, these two. This is definitely the lowest price. Bar. So n equals answers, n equals 40. It's C. You can check the solutions. All right, hope that helped. Yeah, like I said, one of the weirder, easier but weirder topics. A lot of confusion, it seems. All right, so long, take care.